Unchained Yubel. This deck, talk of this deck, has been going around on my channel for a while now, but this deck was specifically requested by Marko Pijatovic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So here we go, Unchained Yubel. Of course, this is the talk of the town. It is the new best way to play the Yubel cards, and this deck is specifically a TCG only deck, meaning it doesn't use cards that have only come out in the OCG, which was requested by the user Gilgamesh in my previous Yubel video, that I do a Yubel deck that only uses cards that we actually have in the TCG. So let's get right into it. First of all, we have our very basic Yubel engine with every copy of Yubel and Senkara D Lotus. These are the only cards that have come out in the TCG so far, so we aren't using Infernal Grave Squirmer or the new field spell, which is a little bit unfortunate, but this deck still works well without them. We're also not running the Geist Grinder Golem because it becomes more of a dead card more often than not, and it just doesn't really progress our strategy, especially when we've got the Unchained engine to help us get the OTKs as well. For our Unchained engine, we have one copy of each of the Unchained Souls and 3 copies of Unchained Twins Aruha. On top of that, we also have 3 copies of Abomination's Prison and one of the traps, and we have 1 copy of the other trap, which is a little less useful. This trap I chose to put in 3 of because it special summons Unchained monsters from our hand or graveyard, which comes in handy more often than being able to destroy a card, especially when we've got so many other options for destroying our opponent's cards. The reason I don't include any of the other Unchained Twins is because we're already running 2 engines in this deck, so we really want to get the consistency as sharp as possible, very quickly get out both of our engines at once. Aruha is the starter for the Unchained engine. You can also use Rakea as a starter. However, Rakea uses up our normal summon, which we want to use for our Senkara D Lotus in order to bring out our Yubel engine. As for Sarama just isn't a starter, so I used to have 1 copy in the deck, but it became a dead card more often than not, and we just really don't need Sarama in the deck. It doesn't really do much for us. Finally, for our main deck, we have 3 Nibiru. This is our main hand trap. Nibiru can end games by himself. 3 Prosperities, because we have 2 engines in this deck, so we really want to search out our Aruha and our Senkara D Lotus, especially the Lotus that really starts off our main combos. 1 Called by the Grave, Ash Blossom, Droll and Lockbird, both can be very detrimental to this deck, and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. For our extra deck, we have a very basic lineup with 2 Yubels, a rank 8, a rank 6, and a few Link monsters, mainly going for either the OTK or just for our Unchained strategy. Speaking of the Unchained strategy, this deck runs the basic Yubel Unchained combo, which is very, very powerful. So what you want to do for your Yubel engine, obviously, Senkara D Lotus tributes to special summon Spirit of Yubel, who gets Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain can then destroy either Spirit of Yubel or a Yubel in your hand to get your Eternal Favorite and hopefully get out your regular Yubel. This will set up our Super Fusion field with Eternal Favorite and Yubel on the field, which we can then use during our opponent's turn to basically fuse all of their effect monsters, which is probably all of their monsters, to summon the Yubel Fusion. As for the Unchained engine, we have Unchained Twins Aruha, who can be special summoned by destroying one of our Unchained spell or traps when we set them. When these are destroyed, it special summons a Unchained Soul from our deck, which is fantastic, normally going for Abominable or Unchained Soul of Disaster. The other main combo with this deck is to link 2 into your Unchained Soul Lord of Yama, who will then search for your Unchained Soul of Shavara. Then you can special summon Shavara by destroying a Yubel on your field, who will just float into her next form. Then you link your Shavara with your Lord of Yama, send them to the graveyard to special summon Abyss Actor's Super Producer. Then when Shavara is sent to the graveyard, you can set an Unchained trap from your deck, and then use Super Producer's effect to destroy a Yubel monster, who again will float into her next form, and that will trigger the effect of Yama in your graveyard. Yama from the graveyard will then banish itself to special summon Shavara from the graveyard, and then destroy the card that you set earlier. When that set card is destroyed, it will special summon your Unchained Soul of Shayama. then you can use Shayama and Super Producer, send them to the graveyard to link summon Unchained Soul of Rage or to go into Unchained Soul of Anguish. So if you're going first, you want to summon Rage. If you're going second, you want to summon Anguish. Rage, when it's on the field, has a quick effect. During your opponent's turn, you can link it with your opponent's monster to summon a link monster during their main phase using Rage and one of their monsters. That'll allow you to go into any of your Link 2s or 3s, such as Little Knight or your Unicorn, or even your Topologic Trisbana, or more often than not, your Unchained Soul of Anguish, who can be used during your turn to do exactly the same thing, allowing you to go into a Link 3 or 4 or 2, a Link 2 to 4, including Unchained Abomination or Access Code Talker. Finally, what you want to do after you've summoned your Soul of Rage or Soul of Anguish is use the effect of Shayama in the graveyard, destroy a card on your field to special summon it, and then overlay it with your Shavara to special summon the rank 6 DDD Wave High King Caesar, whose effect negates effects that special summons monsters. This is a very powerful inboard to have. You've got your Super Fusion setup going on to eat all of your opponent's effect monsters. You've got your Soul of Rage to steal one of their monsters for a link summon, and you can negate a special summon and possibly even a card effect with the effect of Samsara D Lotus. So the aim of this deck is control what your opponent does, steal their monsters, negate their summons, and then go for the OTK during your next turn. Now let's check out this deck in action. Also, let me know what you think of this style of video where we do the quick deck profile first and then go into the deck showcase. This is a new thing for us. I hope it goes well. I hope you guys like it. Let me know down in the comments, and let's get on to that deck showcase.
関してナイトメアペイン、君と僕は今同じ苦しみ愛に包まれているんだよ。共に戦おう。宇宙を破滅に導く光の波動と。楽しかったよ、10代。覇王10代。さあ、攻撃している。 何の役にも立ちはしない。僕一人の愛の方がずっと強いのに。それなのに君は僕の愛より苦しみはそのまま10代君の苦しみになるよ。
僕は君の全ての愛を永遠に独り占めすることができる。その通りだ。何？